Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, a whirlwind romance with his ex-wife Taylor ended abruptly when he discovered her affair with her yoga trainer. Despite a seemingly happy marriage and a son, he stumbled upon intimate photos and messages on her tablet. Confronted with evidence, she denied everything, but he exposed the truth, leading to her suspension and social ostracization. They divorced, and he gained custody of their son, deeply hurt by her cheating. Now let's get into the story. My ex-wife Taylor and I were married for only 2 years before our divorce. My wife and I met at a mutual friends party. We were both there with our different groups of friends, and we started a conversation, and things took off from there. A week after we met at the party, we had our first date, and on our second date, I asked her to be my girlfriend, and she said yes. We dated for a year and 9 months and married afterward. Most people would say our falling in love and marriage was fast, but I don't think that has anything to do with my wife cheating. Before Taylor and I married, I knew she was one of those women who loved to be in shape at all times. She loved yoga and was part of a yoga morning/evening class. I had no issue with Taylor staying fit or attending her yoga classes. I knew it was something she loved, and I even encouraged her to keep going to her classes, even on the days she didn't feel like it. Taylor and I barely had any issues in the 2 years we were married. We respected each other and were careful with our words, no matter how angry we were. Regarding finances, Taylor and I worked very hard and did our best to take care of the house, support our parents from time to time, and take care of other things. Taylor was already 3 months pregnant, so we had a year-plus-old son before we divorced, and his birth brought us so much joy. I always wanted to be a father, and finally, having a son calling me daddy was a source of strength. I grew up without a dad, and I promised my son that I would do everything possible to give him a comfortable life, and that's why I did 2 jobs a day to keep things going for me. On her end, Taylor was a good mother to her son, and she took great care of him. Undoubtedly, we were a happy big family with many beautiful memories. But shortly after Taylor and I clocked 2 years of marriage, I found something that scattered everything we built. One day, I was at home resting on a weekend. Saturdays were usually my day off, and I picked Saturdays to relax, help around at home, and most importantly, spend time with our son. That Saturday, Taylor had taken her son to grocery shopping, and I was all alone at home. There was nothing to do, so I became bored and decided to go through our family pictures on the tablet. The tablet was a shared gadget between my wife and me, and we usually left it at home. So to ease my boredom, I started looking at the pictures from when our son was in his mother's stomach down to when he was born till his current state. I was there savoring the moment when I noticed that my wife's cloud was connected to the tablet. By this time, I was done looking at all our family pictures, and I thought it was a good idea to go through her photos, hoping that I'll stumble on some of our old dating photos. Immediately, I accessed my wife's gallery. The first few pictures I saw were pictures of her half-naked, without a bra, and other revealing and sensual pictures. Immediately I saw them. I was confused because my wife had not sent me those pictures, and seeing her nudes on her phone made me feel that something was wrong. Even while we dated, she wasn't the kind of woman that was comfortable with sending me her nudes, and I never asked for them. So I was surprised that she had those kinds of pictures on her phone. I know I trusted Taylor so much, but despite trusting her, the thoughts that she was actually sending those pictures to someone else kept coming to my head. I tried to find it, but the harder I tried, the more difficult it was to resist. After trying to keep the thoughts away, I decided to do some digging, and I could access some of her messages through her cloud. Once I could do that, I found a couple of messages between her and her yoga trainer, and it insinuated that something was going on between them. So that evening, when Taylor came home, I acted like everything was fine, and we all had dinner together. That night, after she slept, I went through her actual phone and I was shocked to my bone marrow to see sensual WhatsApp messages between Taylor and her yoga trainer. From what I found out, Taylor and her yoga trainer started dating 1 year after we married, and I didn't smell a raff the whole time. Everything was still going on normally with her, and she still cared for me and our son like she did from the beginning, and that's why I didn't suspect anything. That night, I badly wanted to wake her to explain, but I had to control my emotions. I took screenshots of their chats and erased every trace that I had touched her phone. 3 days after I had gathered everything, I sent them to her yoga facility, and her yoga trainer ended up getting suspended. Taylor also had to stop going there because you could not stand the shame and all the terrible things her colleagues would say about her. To add salt to injury, I specifically sent her nudes and other sensual photos to a lady in her book club whom I knew Taylor never liked. The lady was a blabbermouth, which was the main reason she and Taylor did not get along. I was sure the lady would do a great job in broadcasting and telling everyone in their book club about Taylor's infidelity, and that's what happened. She lost all her valuable friends, ruined her reputation, and stopped attending book club meetings. Meanwhile, while all of this happened, Taylor did not know I was the one behind it. She kept coming up with excuses why she wouldn't go to her yoga classes and her book club meetings. I knew she was lying and I kept playing along with her. Eventually, when I couldn't keep up with the pretense, I confronted her and told her someone told me about her affair with her yoga trainer. When I said so, she started begging me immediately, and she claimed there was a mix-up somewhere and told me she would never cheat on me. That was funny coming from someone who dated her yoga trainer for 1 year under my nose. When she assured me she could never cheat on me, I told her I didn't want our marriage anymore because I knew the truth, and she started to cry. Before the confrontation, I had conducted a paternity test. My son and I were a match. She even started to abuse me that I was taking the words and gossip of strangers over her words, but I couldn't stand her pretense, so I kicked her out. Kicking Taylor out of my house and life was difficult, but I had to do it anyway. After a few weeks, we divorced, and with the help of a good lawyer, I got custody of our son. It's been 2 years since Taylor and I went our separate ways, and each time I remember, it hurts me that she had no regard for our marriage or me, and she stopped so low to have an affair with her yoga trainer. I feel sorry for any other man that will end up with her because she is such a good actress. Today's second story. In this story, OP meets a woman at a conference, starting a long-distance relationship. As he invests more, suspicions arise. Discovering she's married, he confronts her husband, exposing the affair. The husband divorces her. She blames him, but he moves on, realizing the deception. He reflects, hoping for a genuine relationship in the future. Now let's get into the story. I, 29 male, met a woman, 31 female, at a conference in Baltimore. I was only there for work, and I wasn't expecting our night together to evolve into anything else. But we hit it off, and after cooking up for the first time during the conference, we exchanged numbers and we kept in touch. We lived about an hour away from each other, so it wasn't far enough to completely rule out a long-distance relationship. We didn't get to see each other often, but we would text and chat when we were both available. About once or twice a month, she would visit me in the city and we would go out together. I loved seeing her. We had a wonderful connection, and I really felt like our relationship could go somewhere. However, in hindsight, I realized that I was putting more into the relationship than she was. I didn't think anything about our relationship until I was talking to a friend about us. I explained to her how my girlfriend would visit me, but I almost never visited her. Just to clarify, it wasn't for lack of trying. I had been vocal about wanting to travel to her apartment and meet her friends. My friend was a little weirded out by that. She said that it was odd that my girlfriend didn't want me to visit her. But at the same time, my friend is the type of person who listens to a lot of true crime and watches too much television. We both kind of laughed it off like she was assuming there was something more going on, but our conversation did get me thinking. I thought I knew my girlfriend from the conversations we had, but it was all surface level. I knew what television shows and books she liked, but I didn't know anything about her family. The next time I talked to her on the phone, I asked her more about herself. I wasn't asking in a way to accuse her of anything, but I genuinely wanted to learn more about her because I saw a future with her. She just told me that there wasn't much to talk about. She gave me a short story about being an only child and her parents having passed away. It made sense that if she didn't have any family around, she would have been a child. Wouldn't bring it up, so I moved on. Months passed in our relationship, and she still didn't want me to come visit her. It was difficult for me because I really wanted to meet her friends. By that point, she had met a few of mine and they really liked her. I wanted to see the city she lived in because I was considering suggesting that we move in together. No matter how many times I asked, she always shut down the idea of me visiting. I didn't think much about it at the time, but all of our conversations were very intimate. Whenever we would be together, we would go to dinner or bar, then we would go right back to my apartment and sleep together. I kind of just thought that it was because we were apart for so long. But after a while, the lack of depth with our conversations was getting to me. I was talking to another friend about her, just venting some of my frustrations, and he mentioned that I might be a side piece. I was very shocked to hear that and honestly kind of hurt. At the time, I felt like I had something special with her, and hearing that it might have been less than I thought was awful. He pointed out all of the facts and told me that if she's being very secretive about her life, it probably means that there's something she doesn't want me to know. That thing might have been that she had a partner, possibly family. I couldn't believe that. There was no chance in hell that was the case. I actually got kind of mad at my friend for even suggesting that, so I went home and I stewed on it for a while. When my anger subsided, I started to see some merit to the point he was making. I went online to read other stories about people who were unknowingly sleeping with committed people, and a lot of my circumstances aligned. I had asked my girlfriend early on in the relationship for her social media so we could add each other, but she just told me she didn't have any. She then proceeded to tell me all about how vile she thought it was, so I believed her. However, after looking online for her, I found her profiles. She had lied about having social media so she wouldn't have to add me to them. When I clicked on the Facebook link from Google, I realized that I was blocked. She was definitely trying to hide something from me. I made a fake account and I searched for her again just so I could see for myself what she was hiding. Just from the public view of her profile, I could see that she was married and seemed to be happy from the looks of it. There was a young child in a few of the photos. I didn't know if it was hers or what. I found her husband's name through her profile and I started looking at his. From what I could gather, they have been together since high school. I had my suspicion something was going on and I finally had an answer. Honestly, I kind of regretted looking into it. Before that, I had a great relationship with someone that I didn't feel guilty about. After looking at it, I couldn't help but feel like I was a bad person. I knew that I didn't know about her family, but I was still sleeping with her. Right away, I knew that I was going to end everything with her, but it didn't feel right to let her get away with cheating. I needed to think of some way to tell her husband and also teach her a lesson about what she did. Through looking at his social media, I could tell that he was a realtor. I reached out to him and I set up a meeting to have a conversation with him. I said I was interested in buying a house, but of course, that was a lie. I made sure our meeting was going to be during a time when my girlfriend wasn't in the house because I didn't want her to find out about it. When the time for the meeting came, we spent a few minutes chatting with each other while I tried to decide if I actually had the nerve to tell him everything. I didn't know if that would be the end for them. I hoped that it would be because she had betrayed their marriage by being with me. After a few minutes, I confessed that I wasn't there to buy a house. I told him about how I met his wife and about the affair that ensued after, making sure he knew that I knew nothing about him and his family. He was as shocked as I was about the news. He told me something else that shocked me too. Apparently, she had been working weekends every week. She told him that it was only temporary while she was onboarding and training some new managers for work. After I told him about our relationship, he insinuated she was visiting me every weekend. But that wasn't the case. I honestly had to wonder if there was another person she was having an affair with. I only saw her once or twice a month. I sent him a bunch of screenshots and videos from our chats. I felt horrible when he was reading them in front of me. He told me that he was going to figure out what to do with them, and he thanked me for being honest with him. I spent the rest of the day feeling sick to my stomach after the conversation. I genuinely believed that she had another person that she was sleeping with. 2 days later, she called me and was immediately irate. Apparently, I had no business digging around in her life after she had made it clear she didn't want me to. I ruined her marriage, and I was the worst thing that ever happened to her. I was shocked that she was blaming me for what happened. It was her choice to lie to her husband and have an affair. If I would have known that she was married, I would have never pursued her. Honestly, the fact that she wasn't even wearing her ring during the conference said enough. After I got off the phone with her, I haven't heard from her since. Her husband, on the other hand, did end up divorcing her, and he told me that she's living with her mom until she finds a new place. I couldn't help but laugh hearing that because it made me think about how she told me her parents were dead. I'm honestly just really glad I'm past this part of my life. I'm hoping I can meet someone who is truly single and be happy.